Greetings, fellow alumni. We are here at Rose Alumni House, and we are excited to be shooting Season 2 of Yale Afternoons with Alison, a series where we bring university leaders to Rose Alumni House to talk about their priorities and alumni engagement. Today, I'll be sitting down with Greg Sterling, the Reverend Henry L. Dean of the Yale Divinity School, and Lillian Claus Professor of New Testament. Dean Sterling, welcome to Rose Alumni House.
Thank you very much, Alison. It's a pleasure to be here.
You are now our senior dean at Yale University, so I'm expecting a lot of wisdom from you today.
Well, I will try to do my best, but I don't promise.
Well, we're gonna start simple. Let's have a good time here today, and thank you so much for being here. We're excited to have you. So, how long have you been at Yale now?
Well, I'm finishing my 14th year.
Okay. So what brought you here?
Well, I spent 23 years at the University of Notre Dame.
Okay.
I actually thought I would retire from that university.
Okay.
And John Collins at a conference said, we have a dean search. He was chair of the search committee.
Okay.
Would you be interested? And I said, there are very few places that I would leave where I'm at to go to, but Yale is one of them.
Yeah.
And the reasons why, I have both personal and professional reasons, I think. Professionally, it's because I think Yale's one of the greatest universities in the world. And I sometimes tell people that, why would you leave Notre Dame? You can go anywhere in the United States, and if you say, I'm from Notre Dame, everybody knows what you're talking about.
Sure.
But if you're elsewhere in the world, they might say, the cathedral in Paris?
Yeah.
But if you say from Yale, that's all you have to say.
Sure.
Anywhere in the world.
Sure.
So that illustrates the difference in the platform. And personally, it's because my grandfather's brothers attended Yale.
Oh, cool.
And so they went and came to Yale and had very distinguished careers.
Okay.
So I felt like for me, there was something of a coming back to my own roots.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I am sure your priorities have changed over 14 years, but currently, like if talking to our alumni now who don't know that much about the Divinity School, what are your top 3 priorities?
So we've done strategic plans, and we are in our second one, which is intended to be completed in the summer of 2027.
Okay.
So the 3 things that occupy my attention most, which are part of this.
Yep.
The first is we want to start our own PhD program.
Wow, okay.
That sounds counterintuitive to a lot of what's going on, but the PhD program used to be at the Divinity School. And in the early 60s, everything was consolidated under the graduate school.
Okay.
And it moved, religious studies was formed, and it moved to religious studies.
Okay.
So that's worked well, but there are fields that will never be represented, in which we have a good number of faculty. And there are other fields in which the bulk of the faculty are at the Divinity School, and it's a little awkward to have it administered by one unit when almost all the faculty are in a different unit.
Okay.
So we want to do that. There are lots of reasons, but those are a couple of the practical reasons.
Okay.
So that's one.
Sure.
A second major priority for me is we have, over the entire time that I've been dean, prioritized diversity.
Okay.
And one area where we, I think, have excelled but need to really solidify is in African American studies.
Okay.
And the presence of African Americans at the Divinity School. I mean, we tripled the number of faculty, doubled the number of staff, doubled the number of students, etc. But we need to create a vibrant Black church studies program.
Okay.
We have one, but I want to put it on very solid financial footing and expand it.
Okay.
So that's a second goal. And the third goal, you, I think, know that in October we opened the Living Village.
Yes.
And we're very pleased. That took a long time.
Yes.
But we have 49 units, and we have almost 300 students, and we have 84 apartments in what we call the Cantor Street apartments
Yep.
that need to come down, in all honesty. They're very inexpensive. I have never raised the rent. I actually lowered the rent.
Wow, okay.
Since,
That's nice.
14 years.
Yeah.
However, we need to take those down and build a second building like
Yep.
Bower Hall in the Living Village.
Why don't you, for folks who don't know that much about the Living Village, why don't you say just a little bit more about that?
So this is a residential structure, but it's also 4.5 acres.
Okay.
That have 100,000 new shrubs and trees
Yep.
that are indigenous to New England.
Amazing.
Planted on them. And it's the most sustainable structure known today. I'm sure it will be eclipsed down the road, but right now, so most of us know LEED certified buildings.
Yep.
And Yale's standard is gold LEED.
Okay.
That's the basic standard for the university.
Yep.
Kroon Hall, School of the Environment,
Yep.
has a platinum LEED
Yep.
building. But this moves well beyond that. So it's not just that it's carbon neutral, but it has to actually give something back to the environment where it stands.
Yep.
So in this case, just without getting too much into this,
Sure.
It will generate about 120% of the energy that the building needs.
Wow.
And all of this is done through solar.
Yeah.
So the roof is a solar tile
Okay.
roof, and then there's a solar panel cover over a back parking lot. So we'll be able to provide energy for all of the building that's there, plus the 20% in extra will help offset the existing Divinity School's energy needs.
One more question about this. Why was it important for a divinity school to a lot of people are probably like, well, this sounds more like a School of the Environment project. It's intriguing to me, and I'm sure others, that this came from the Divinity School.
We embrace what I call eco-theology.
Okay.
That is, in short, it's the conviction that we are answerable to God, to the divine, for the way that we treat nature and the world around us, that we are part of creation and we are responsible for the way that we treat creation. So this was our way of actually trying to live a fundamental value that we hold.
So there's a lot of alumni out there who are really interested in engaging with the university's priorities. How can alumni, separate from fundraising, support you in your priorities?
So I would say there are a couple of ways, but one of the most important right now, and this is something I say to virtually every group with whom I talk, is the standing of American universities in American society has fallen dramatically. Just a few years ago, 58% of Americans thought that going to a university would benefit an individual. Now this is down to about 38%.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just taken a nosedive. So one thing that every alum can do is if you value your Yale education, whatever your field, talk to people. All you have to do is tell your own story and what it means to you and how it's made a difference in your life.
Yes.
That's something all of us can do.
Agreed.
And I think our country is at stake in this. I mean, universities, to me, are one of the greatest contributions that this country has made to the world, certainly in the 20th century.
Yes.
And I'm happy to talk about why I believe that, but that's being undermined. And the pact that Vannevar Bush and FDR made at the end of World War II, which became the basis for research in this country and has propelled the United States not only in science and technology, but our economy worldwide is under threat.
Agreed. Thank you for that. And if there's alums who are interested, after hearing from you, about being more engaged with the Divinity School, how can they do that?
all they need to do, they can send me a note.
Okay.
I'm easy to
that.
find.
Okay.
Gregory.sterling at Yale.edu,
All right.
or
Well,
just Dean of the Divinity School.
We will send them your way.
Yeah.
But I think more and more people are going to be intrigued by the Living Village, and we had some tours go through there at Assembly and Convocation this year. So thank you for that. So can you highlight an alum who has done really exceptional work on behalf of the Divinity School?
I can. Now, the problem is just restricting it to one.
I know.
I'm going to mention one, and then whom many people know.
I can guess.
And but then I want to talk about somebody they won't know as much.
Okay, that sounds good.
The first is somebody you know very well, Jerry
Henry, our guy.
I can't talk about alums without saying something about Jerry, who's done just about everything. That he could, both for us and for the Alumni Association.
Yes, former chair, Yale medal winner last year. Yep.
If I could clone Jerry, I would 100,000 times.
We all would.
But let me mention one other, a little younger alum, Elijah Hayward.
Okay.
While he was here, he was very active and did a number of things as a student.
Okay.
But then he went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, got his PhD, and became the COO of the International African American Museum in Charlestown, South Carolina.
Okay.
So when we, that is Yale, released the book, Yale and Slavery, Elijah helped us organize an event at that museum.
Okay.
The place was filled.
I'm sure.
It was a wonderful event.
Okay.
And Elijah made that possible just by working through.
Sure.
And one way, Elijah has really helped by introducing me to a lot of people.
Alumni who serve as connectors and facilitators for engagement and fundraising are just so helpful to us in so many ways. So we're going to move it into the section of questions that I ask everyone who stops by Rose. What's your favorite spot on campus?
At the Divinity School, if I had to just pick one place, this may strike some people as a bit strange, but we have two little small quads in the back, which we redid. And one of those we redid with a labyrinth.
Oh, cool.
And it has the Chartres labyrinth in miniature.
Yeah.
And so when I'm needing just to meditate, I go to that and walk that labyrinth.
Yeah.
It's very quiet, very serene.
Yes.
And so for me, that's a little sanctuary.
I love that.
And if I were to name one spot on the Yale campus more broadly, and this will maybe say a lot about me, but I would say the entrance into the Sterling Memorial Library. And the reason why is, for me, that is the definition of cathedral of learning. It's like a cathedral, but it represents learning at Yale. And for me, that epitomizes this university.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite Yale memory over your 14 years here?
I have two that really stand out.
Okay.
So one is the opening of the Living Village last October.
Okay.
For me will forever be etched in my memory.
Yes.
Because I worked as hard as I could for a very long time.
Yeah, I bet.
And a lot of other people worked very hard. It wasn't just me. But there are a lot of people.
It took a village to build the Living Village.
It really did.
Yeah.
But that day was a beautiful day. We had great attendance. I think there were about 500 people there. There were 500 or so people registered.
Wow.
So it was, in everything, Maury gave a great speech. One of our own students composed the music that was played.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I think it went as well as it could have.
Yeah.
So that I will always remember.
It's just a highlight of innovation at Yale, too, you know?
No. And the second, for me, great moment, and this is a moment for Yale. When I first came, I became aware of James Pennington. And I asked the president's office, could we give him a Master of Divinity degree? And the answer was, we could not.
Okay.
So in the research for Yale and slavery, they had discovered that a number of Yale College students had joined the Northern Army, had been killed, and had been awarded M.A. Privatum degrees to recognize their time at Yale.
Okay.
And he said, that will give us the legal precedent that we need to
do
award.
it.
So he said, would you mind if we also gave one to Alexander Crummell? I said, absolutely not.
Right.
We have the two of them featured in our 200-year history.
Yep.
So for me, the day that Peter conferred those degrees on James Pennington and Alexander Crummell is a great moment.
Yes.
And it's a great moment for Yale because it's a recognition that a wrong in the past has been acknowledged and we've done what we could to correct it. And I think that represents Yale at its very best.
Yes, I agree. Next question. This is probably the most controversial one that we ask.
Oh, no.
Do you have a favorite New Haven pizza place?
Oh, boy. So I'm going to answer like a politician.
Yeah, go for it. Many who have been in that seat before you have gone the same route.
Yeah. So when we have out-of-town guests, we always take them to Pepe's.
Okay.
All right, that's the go-to
That's the
place.
answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
But if it's my wife and me
Yes.
or with some friends, we go to Modern.
Okay.
So Modern, just by taste, is where I would prefer to go.
Okay.
But I recognize
For the experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
The experience of Pepe's.
All right, last question for you. Is there an item that you always have on your desk?
Well, you're going to like my answer.
Okay.
So the answer is yes. And what I keep on my desk is a certain coffee mug. And I drink coffee, I hope moderately. I try to keep it moderately.
Yeah.
But I have a Yale alumni mug
All right.
that is the thermos mug.
Okay.
And that's my coffee cup.
Well, thank you.
So that's always on my desk.
All right. Well, you can add Yale Afternoons with Alison mug right next to it now.
Okay, very good.
This is yours to go.
I will for my for this.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was incredibly fun and informative. I learned a lot, and I hope our alums learned a lot. And we'll see you around soon.
Okay, Alison.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank
Thanks,
you for your
Greg.
leadership of the Alumni Association.
Always.